but I notice there's a way of being for me that's like needing guidance outside of myself, that's like looking for signs and signals, that's looking for a message from a higher mind, a message from source. And I want us in this conversation today to shift the focus, to shift our way of being from needing guidance, needing information. What do they say? What's the opinions? What's my belief system say? What's my opinion say? To can you and I stand in the present moment and actually be in a place? Can we stand in a way of being called, we're going to now think for ourselves in the present moment? I also thought it would be fun to weave in some video clips of me beginning to remodel the front steps of our house. We have a 1900 Victorian. This staircase is not a great architectural example of what it could be. Wait till you see the end, it'll be pretty nice. And I thought it was also a great metaphor, right? Completely rebuilding the front staircase, concrete steps towards thinking for yourself, haha, right? I like it. It's I'm a master builder, and more specifically, I'm a master at old house renovation. Of course, these days I spend a lot of my time talking about creativity, self-expression, and self-esteem. But as we talk here today on this topic, I'll weave in a few video clips of the beginning stages of this renovation for the front house staircase. The culture that we're living in today is a culture of snorting ideas. And I want you to think about it like that. Is me, you, all of us. There's so many ideas. There's so many people talking. There's so much going on out there. If you're like me, and you probably are, you spend a lot of your time, I spend a lot of time on YouTube, on Google, social media all over the place, hearing what other people have to say, absorbing other ideas, other opinions. I don't soak up the news, but I keep in touch on a daily basis with at least the headlines of what's going on the national level, what's going on the state level, what's going on in my town, at least with land use planning. So I'm in touch with what other people are saying, what other people are doing, what other people are thinking. And I think the nature of our culture is just to snort ideas. It's like a drug hit. But I'm not talking about what do they say, what do they think, what do my belief systems say that I think. I'm talking about us getting a firm foundation, a firm place to stand for how do we think right now. What is true for me right now? What is true for you right now? And can we be in the present moment, exploring, feeling like what's my experience right now? What am I observing right now? These are keys to this topic of let's think for ourselves right now. What am I experiencing right now? What am I observing right now? And can I just tell the truth to myself in present time? Can I be awake and aware to what's going on inside of me, what's going on in front of me? What are my senses telling me that's going on? There's talking points, there's cultural narratives, there's organized belief systems, and these are all different from, can I think for myself? Can I be fully awake and aware? Can I observe what's actually going on right now? That's thinking for myself. That's you thinking for yourself, being in present time. Believing is not real thinking. Rehearsed talking points, that's not thinking. What they say, that's not thinking. That's just a regurgitation of what they say. That's just a regurgitation of what I already decided to believe yesterday or last year or 12 years ago, or what someone else decided to believe 50 years ago. But both you and I are in fact capable of cultivating the ability of thinking for ourselves. It's a muscle. It's like exercise, like working out. It's something we have to put our attention and our intention towards every day, thinking for ourselves. And so to begin, there's a practice of getting quiet. There's a practice of getting still. We have to practice shutting ourselves down from the outside influences. We have to every day find a quiet place, a quiet time of meditation where we can shut out what everybody else is saying, and even get quiet to the chatter in our own head, which, if you're like me, most of the time, most of the chatter in my head is the voices, the repetition of old ideas again and again and again. If you or I side with one political party over another, then we're lost, right? Why? Because neither political party in our country is about leadership. It's all about belief systems. It's all about posturing. It's all about getting your job reelected the next season. It's all about game. To the extent that you and I identify with a political party and espouse the doctrine of that political party, that's not thinking. Thinking is being present in this moment, feeling what I'm feeling, experiencing what I'm experiencing, sensing, hearing, seeing, feeling, touching, and seeing what is real right now in this moment. So we're talking about cultivating extreme self-esteem. This isn't arrogance. Arrogance is something totally different. Arrogance is an already prepackaged, preconceived set of beliefs, and we're not even in present time. We're not being present with the other person. We're not being present with our current experience if we're in a way of being called arrogance. However, we are going to get ourselves more and more grounded in our own self-esteem and more grounded in our own confidence of being able to connect profoundly with Source, profoundly with higher mind, and that relies upon our ability to get more and more quiet, to quiet the chatter in our own head, to quiet the chatter of social media and what do they say, and get into the zone of quiet and to be able to listen to the quiet and listen to the voice of higher mind. Science is about observation and it's about trial and error. Science is about developing a thesis, testing it, and seeing what the results are in real time. And then most importantly, science is about discarding a thesis once it no longer is true. You and I will never be able to package up ultimate truth. The best that you and I can hope for is a more useful and more powerful articulation of the truth than what we had yesterday, knowing full well that tomorrow you and I will discard today's articulation of the truth as we mature into a deeper understanding of what's going on around us. That's called wisdom. Wisdom is developing a more mature understanding of what's going on around us. Consciousness is like a multi-story building. Imagine you're in the city and there's a tall, maybe it's 20-story, multi-story building. When you walk into the ground floor, you're going to have the experience of street level. There's going to be the noises and the smells of the street. There's going to be, maybe there's a restaurant and a bar, and there's much interaction between the noises and the hustle and bustle of the streets and the first level of this building. So that's a certain reality, and it is real. When you're on the first floor, whatever you're experiencing on the first floor of the building is real at the first floor. Now imagine that you go all the way up to the penthouse of this tall multi-story building. On the penthouse, all of a sudden, it's super quiet. All of a sudden, you can see far off into the distance, and you can see the river, and you can see the park with all the trees. And when you're down on the first floor, you have no idea that there's a river off in the distance. You don't even know that there's a park over there. But when you're on the penthouse level of this building, all of a sudden you've got a completely different set of awarenesses. You've got a completely different consciousness. And all of a sudden, you can see a different world. Down at the street level, it was noisy and smelly and hustle and bustle. And if you're up on the penthouse level, all of a sudden it's very quiet. There's not many people around. In fact, it's probably just you in this penthouse level. So I want you to use that model as an example of different levels of awareness. And I want you to use that model as a structure for understanding that when you're at the penthouse level and when you're at the ground floor level of this multi-story building, what's true at the ground floor is true at the ground floor, and what's true at the penthouse level is true at the penthouse level. They're both true, but they're completely different views of reality. So it's not like one truth is the accurate, correct truth. One truth is true at the ground level and one truth is true at the penthouse level. You can argue and debate your point of view all you want, but your point of view is only accurate from the floor of consciousness that you're standing on. Your point of view is only accurate from your point of view. Most of us spend most of our time arguing for someone else's ideas and someone else's point of view and don't shut up long enough to be able to get in a present moment state of observation. What's going on in front of me right now? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I feeling? Present time observation is a vastly different thing than what I heard someone else say, what they think, what I've already figured out is my belief system, my political party, my set of opinions. That's a dead set of facts. What's alive is whatever you're sensing, feeling, and thinking right now. That's what's alive and that's what's real. Your ability to have empathy for other people is a reflection of your ability to have empathy for yourself. Empathy is the ability for you and I to step into another person's shoes, to see their point of view, to feel their feelings, to be on the floor in their level of consciousness, where they're at right now, where they're looking from right now. Empathy is the ability of you or I to step into another person's shoes and to feel their feelings, experience their experience, and understand how it is they're having the thoughts that they're having right now. The reason that empathy is such an important skill set is that when we can stand in someone else's shoes, when we can feel what they're feeling, when we can see what they're seeing, when we can think and understand what they're thinking, then all of a sudden we can learn from them. It broadens our own view. It gets us out of our own chatter, our own opinions, and our own belief systems, and it opens up our own macro view of the world. It gives us more information about the world. Like an example, suppose you're standing on the 9th floor of your building looking east, and I'm on the 7th floor looking west. I'm going to have a completely different point of view than you, right? We're going to be looking essentially at two different worlds, and yet here we are standing in the same building. I'm on the 7th floor looking west. You're on the 9th floor looking east, and reality for you is vastly different than reality for me. Isn't it useful that if I can use empathy and begin to try to understand what it is you're seeing, what it is you're experiencing, so that when I'm on the 7th floor looking west, at least I have some awareness of what it might be like to be standing on the 9th floor Again, it's not about, do I agree with your perspective? Do I agree with your cosmology? It's all about, what can I learn from you? What can I learn from your perspective? How can your way of seeing broaden my own understanding of the world and of myself? In order to truly think for myself, I have to be able to understand all points of view, all perspectives, and all belief systems. I have to have a macro view of reality, right? And that includes more than just my view of reality. I need to include other people's view of reality. And that's why empathy is such a key core skill to what we're talking about here. In order to be able to feel everything, I have to also be able to feel what you feel. Real, authentic self-esteem is grounded in empathy. I have to be able to accept myself, all of myself, as I really am, and as you really are. I have to allow myself to feel however I feel. I have to embrace all of my feelings and all of my parts. I have to learn to love my broken parts as well as my shiny parts. That's empathy. And I won't be able to practice empathy with anyone else to an extent that's greater than my ability to experience and feel empathy for myself.